Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Integrator Growth in 30, where smart home pros get real strategies fast. I'm Lane McDowell here with Sean Cornwell.
And today we're going to be diving into a question we hear all the time. I have a website. Why am I not getting leads from it? Spoiler. It's not just about having a site. It's about what's going on it.
Absolutely, exactly. Yep. And that's what we're going to cover today is why isn't your website converting? Maybe you're running ads to it, or you hand out business cards, or you meet people at trade show events or whatever, uh, and you see you are getting traffic to your website, but it's just not converting. So we want to cover some of the common issues that we see, and we dove a little bit into this last episode, but we want to dive deeper and help everyone get a better understanding of what makes a good website into a great website that is highly converting, right? And the first thing we want to touch on is most of the things that, most of the integrator websites we see don't really have a clear call to action, right? Whether it be a, nice big phone number in your menu, or telling what the visitor should do, whether it should be book a call, schedule a consultation, interact with a chat bot, right? You've got to have some sort of clear direction for the visitor so they know what to do. And it's great to have multiple call to actions, right? Multiple different things that hey, have your phone number on there and have a schedule a call button, right? Or schedule
Right.
a consultation.
Everyone has a specific way they like to communicate. Some of us don't want to get on the phone and they just want to text or email. Some people don't want to deal with that. They want to actually get on the phone and have a conversation. Everyone's efficient in their own little way on how they want to communicate. And you've got to have a call to action to get those people to communicate with you in their, I guess, preferred way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that kind of leads us into our next one is, not having enough of those trust signals, right? Whether it be testimonials or reviews, or any kind of certifications you have, or whether you're like uh, a gold dealer or platinum dealer, any kind of awards you have, associations you're aligned with, like HTA or something. Display all those trust signals on your website. Um,
I will say that I don't think that home integrators have an issue getting all their certifications and their accolades on their site. They're very proud about that, but they'll have all that without having some reviews on there to kind of back
Absolutely.
up the fact why they have that stuff.
Or one thing we do notice a lot is that they do have those accolades on their website, but they're often like really buried, like way at the bottom, or like
In the
on
footer.
another page and like about us or something, right? Yeah, or in the footer. We like to see those up in front, like right under the hero image, right? Is what you call it, right under the landing spot. So it's like one of the first things that a visitor will see when they scroll down is your accolades, right?
Right
You
below
should
the
be,
fold, as they say. Yep.
yeah, right below the fold. Yep, great analogy. And then it's also really important to show your work on your website, right? Um, a lot of again, a lot of the things that we see is a lot of these stock images, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with stock images. Is that there's they're most of the time pretty obvious that they're stock images, right? Whether you get them from Lutron or Crestron or wherever, people start noticing the same images across different websites, and it's pretty easy to tell if it's a stock image sometimes. So just don't overuse those, and use some of your own work on your website too. Have like a project portfolio page, right? Um, that builds a lot of trust and credibility, and people get to actually see the work that you do. It allows them to trust you more, right?
One of the I would say like one of the okay stock images to use is going to be product based images, like your Control 4 controllers, Lutron lights, those kind of things. 'Cause people do want to see what those products look like, and those companies that you're distributing for do a darn good job actually putting those photography together. But to Lane's point, if you're trying to showcase what something could look like once everything's kind of put in and you're using the stock images from Control Fourth and whatnot, every other integrator is utilizing those same ones. What's going
Mhm.
to set you apart is having your own portfolio pictures because it shows that you're actually doing the work, right? Versus theoretically saying you can do the work. And those people, like if you have those kind of images up, people are going to call you because you have that stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And you know, you're also one thing that's kind of outside of this too, but it goes along with it is that you're setting expectations too, with sometimes using some of this stock imagery and not your own photos. So just keep that in mind too.
Right.
One other thing that it's easy to miss when you're planning your website or you have your website is that you often forget that people go on the internet with their phones nowadays too. And I would say even a majority of people use their phones nowadays to
Mhm.
look up, different integrators or different companies, right? And go to their website. And if your website's mobile experience is poor, people aren't gonna stick around. They're just gonna go back and look for somebody else because it's difficult to navigate. They can't find the information they want, right?
Yeah, most people are doing their research when they're sitting like on the couch. They just got done with their workday. They're not looking to go sit in front of their desk while on their desktop and stuff like that. They're scrolling through Facebook. Maybe they're going through TikTok. They see something like, oh yeah, that reminds me. I really want to look at like do a little bit of research on this little thing, and they start searching on their phone. And right now, most of our clients they see. I would say about between 55 to 60% of the traffic to their site is going to be mobile.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think we've covered a lot of the bigger common issues. Is there anything you wanted to add to this segment, Sean?
Yeah. So a couple of things too is if you have an older website that hasn't been updated, a lot of times people tend to not trust it, right? We talked about trust signals that was being like, logos, reviews, certifications, even having an SSL. But if you have an older site that looks like it was built in the 90s, a lot of times people will say or think that it hasn't been updated. It's probably not secure. It's probably not safe, or they might not be in business anymore, and the site is just lingering. So those are you want to think about that. Or if your site's confusing, I see some sites out there that are new and have been redesigned, but they went a little over the top with their design, and
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
is clustered with images and these funky shapes and stuff like that, and you can't tell if you're reading something or trying to decipher some hieroglyphics. So you
Yeah.
gotta find a good happy medium with design.
Yeah, there's almost like too much information, right? You're like, "Oh my god, what do
Right.
I do?" Right? There's no clear direction here. So
No,
it's
for
almost like
sure.
a brochure and not a lead generator where you want people to take an action, right? So
Yeah, and overall, like you got to think about your website being um, a clean wall or a good sign. You want people to be able to know what they're looking at and have some understanding of how they can flow through the site for more information. The homepage should be a landing page that really describes, what they should be expect from you as an experience, your expertise, and what other people's experience was with you. So that's your certifications, your social proof, and the services you provide, right? and maybe some project photos on there too of your latest stuff. And then they can dive in deeper about specific topics that they want to learn more about. And think about it, like you wouldn't leave wires hanging out on a wall on one of your projects, but your homepage might be doing just that for your sales pipeline. You got to be able to patch that up and make it look good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've talked about, why your current website might not, be converting, but let's talk about some of the must-haves. What should you have on your website to
Well,
help you get more conversions?
I will say the first thing though, Lane, is like a clear headline, right? Like let
Yeah,
people know
absolutely.
exactly what you like do and what you do it for or who you do it for.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a little easier said than done, right? Like sometimes it's so hard to like describe that in a short sentence that's really clear because some of the stuff that integrates through is quite complicated, right? And it's
Oh, yeah, for
hard to
sure.
explain in one sentence, right? So piece of advice here, something to help you along with this is go out to something like ChatGPT, right? And use it as a tool to help you generate ideas of what you could say on your landing page, or when people first get to your website, right? Well, just tell ChatGPT what is the overall message that you want to send to people when they first come to your website. Describe that to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, give me a list of like 10 ideas that I can use as, a quick one or two sentence on my website uh, to help me get this message across clear and simple."
And it could be something. It doesn't have to be super convoluted or chaotically put together. It can be something as simple as like professional home media installation in your city and state. Um, just kind
Absolutely.
of
Yep.
getting the point across that that's exactly what you want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. And right below that, you're going to want to have you know, a clear or a clear call to action, right? Right below that messaging, whether it be like we mentioned before, schedule a consultation, request a quote, uh, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
you
real
don't really want
simple
that.
and it stands out, right? You often want it to be like a different color, right? Than like something that stands out a little bit, right? So if like your website's, if the background's blue or something, you'd want that button to be like white or something, right?
Right. A good contrast. A lot of times we put glows around the button to really make it pop out. But the one thing you don't want to do is put your call to actions in the footer or at the very bottom of a page. You have you already have if only like 3 or 4 seconds to make a first impression before someone bounces off your site and goes somewhere else. If you make it really easy for them to get more information, and maybe you can have a message on your site that isn't completely clear what you're offering, but they have an idea and you have a good call to action ready to help them get more information. They're going to use it every single time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the third must have is we mentioned this before, mention it again, is photos of your work, right? Even just like one or two clean images can dramatically boost trust. And we've mentioned that already. Again, next thing, something we've already covered: testimonials and reviews. Use things like quotes from customers, right? Just put their just ask them for a quick little quote and put their name below it. You can a cool thing you can even do is embed Google reviews right into your website with like a simple little code. Um,
Hmm.
and then it's easy to forget. Make sure your contact info or your contact form works on mobile too, right?
Yeah,
Um,
keep it friction free.
yeah, absolutely. And then those trust indicators again. Uh, any accolades, partner brands, any kind of certifications you have, associations you're a part of, make sure those are front and center where people can easily see them.
Yeah, if you're part of the HTA, make it big and bold. If you're part of the CDA, make it big and bold.
Yep. And then last but definitely not least for the must-haves is a fast load time. Um, if your website is too slow, a couple things will happen. Google will eventually not even serve it as a search option. And B, customers in today's day and age are not going to wait around for a website to load. They want it to load in like at least 3 seconds, right, Sean?
I wouldn't even say at least, at the most. Like I
Yeah.
said, you have 3 to 4 seconds for your first impression. If you're using your entire first impression to load the site, they're already gone.
Yeah. Yep. There's so many other options out there, right? So you got to make this, like Sean said, as friction free as possible. So let's move on to, so we've covered the must haves, right? Well, let's move on to some other things that we could include that are not necessarily mandatory, but are really nice to have, right? Let's talk about blogs or like a new section with some of your recent projects on there. Um, Blogs are, I would almost put them in the must-have in today's day and age, but they're more nice to haves. Um, because it does a couple of things, right? First, it helps your website get indexed for SEO, right? So when people are searching for, a smart home pro near me, you're going to populate as one of those search results, right? It also gives people a kind of a peek behind the scenes, right? If into kind of the work you're doing, what your company's about, how knowledgeable you are. Blogs can be really critical for that, helping someone take the next step.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
Go
mean,
ahead.
to kind of talk a little bit into that too. So blogs, it's dynamic content. It is a constant addition to your site, whether it's weekly, biweekly, or monthly. But blogs can serve two purposes. Lane was talking about how it can showcase some of your recent projects and stuff like that. But you can also answer questions using blogs. Here's a little tip, little I guess a SEO cheat, as some would say. When you search anything on Google, Google has a little spot that says people also ask. You could take that topic that you just searched and then take those headlines that you're seeing other people ask questions about that are similar about the subject and create a whole blog
Mm.
answering all those questions to get yourself indexed a lot quicker, faster, and drive more traffic to your site.
That's a great use of blogs, answering people's questions. And then, another nice to have is an FAQ page, answering like 5 or 6 really common questions that you get throughout the sales process can really help somebody make a decision. And it's also a trust signal too, right? People have certain questions, they want certain information. And if you have an FAQ page and they see that, like, oh, I had this question, oh, they answer it right here. Well, they're very transparent, aren't they? That could really um, help boost that credibility and trust, and also help people find the information that they came to your website for in the first place, right?
Yeah, it helps you save time, helps them save time, and it can shorten your sales cycle quite a bit because you're not fielding questions on a phone, and you're able to get other questions they might not even thought about asking yet answered. And it also boosts your SEO too if you position the questions correctly.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So let's talk about one of the most impactful nice to haves, and that's a short intro video of your company or like a short walkthrough of a project. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but having that extra insight to the way you guys work, what you're all about, being able to share that with a customer will go miles. Like it'll really help someone make a decision as to like if you're the right partner they want to work with or not.
If you've are one of the highly addicted folks to TikTok out there, sometimes you'll come across these people on making videos. They're real estate agents, and they do these goofy, fun walkthroughs of homes through. I think I've seen like some in the Chicago area and Texas area, and I think Ohio too. But they're super hilarious to the point where a lot of people will follow them just to follow them. but they're personable. The way they
Yeah,
kind of like carry
exactly.
out the walkthrough, how they carry on the conversation, explaining things. You could take that same style. You can take that as a template and kind of just make some videos. Like, we just did this project, we installed this, we hit this audio, blah blah blah. This is what the customer wanted, and we kind of wanted to go a little bit beyond what they were looking for and show them like what's new. And you're starting to educate new people who don't work with you. You're showing them how you take care of the client that you already have better than what they were expecting. And um, people get the Jones. I call it the Jones effect. They're jonesing to have the same thing that their neighbors have, right? So a lot of FOMO. It can help build a little bit of FOMO. They get people to call you up and say, like, if they got this, and I sure should have that too. So there's a lot of little cool things that these little videos can do for your business. But they do take some time. But you can do it on your iPhone or your Android phone.
So the last nice to have I want to cover is a like free resource or download like a lead magnet, right? And this is for the people that are in the research phase. They're looking at different integrators or home automation companies, and they're not quite ready to talk to anybody yet. They're not really quite ready to make a decision. But this, like a lead magnet, will help you stay in front of them from when they are ready to make a decision, right? So a lead magnet could be somewhere on your website that um, maybe an idea for lead magnet could be like, the top 5 mistakes homeowners make when choosing a home automation professional, right?
Right.
Have them put in their name and their email to download it. And then there, you've got the information. Now you can start hitting them with marketing emails and start building that authority and stay in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very, very great, nice to have. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, but all of the nice to haves that we've covered, really, like realistically, if I was building a website, would be must haves for me.
They are game changers for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And if you're going to go down the route of building out a free resource slash, like, download lead magnet section on your site, think about the area that you serve and stuff like that. If you're like, you know, Lane's idea was a great one, for sure. And I would say that's like a must for all like everyone should have that one as a lead magnet for sure. But like, let's say you work in New York, where you're in the area with all these duplexes and stuff like that were built in the 18 or 1700s. You know, you're going to probably be retrofitting a lot of technology out there. Well, a lot of people don't know that retrofitting some of this technology could be very complicated, very expensive, cause a lot of, maybe require some demolition. That's a lead magnet you can provide, like what you should be prepared for if you're retrofitting an older home with newer technology. If you're in California, like maybe there's certain regulations out there, because we all know that California has a ton of regulations out there for businesses. Like, what are some things that they need to be ahead of to understand how the process is going to work? Anything like that is going to keep you top of mind. So it'll make you look like an authority and an expert in their area. And they're going to reference that document quite a bit, especially if they do talk to other integrators in the area and they haven't spoke about this one thing that you provided them for free. You're going to be top of mind all the time.
Yeah, those are some fantastic ideas. Absolutely. Um, but like I mentioned, these are just nice to haves. They're not required. But if you're really looking to stand out, these nice to haves can really help make the difference between someone that's thinking, oh, I'm just browsing, and moving them to, oh, let's schedule a call. These guys really got it going on. So let's schedule a call with them.
Absolutely.
So to wrap up here this episode, some of the key points I want to re-highlight is your website is your sales rep. It's like your sales rep. make it work for you. Start with some of those must-haves, and especially, the call to action, photos, the trust signals, and build it from there. Build it in stages until you get some of those nice to haves. Um,
Yeah.
take 10 minutes to pull up your homepage on your phone, make sure it looks good in mobile, and really just honestly take a step back and ask yourself, would you book yourself if you were a potential client?
Honestly, to be like to be realistic, a lot of times as business owners, and Lane and I are business owners, we could get in our own head sometimes and think that we have the best thing since sliced bread. Ask someone really close to you as well. Someone where if their opinion matters so much that it could hurt your feelings if they gave you a rough one. And that's my wife for me. A lot of times I will ask my wife, "Hey, does this work for a normal person kind of thing?" And she usually gives me some pretty honest feedback. So
Yeah, that's a
um,
great idea. A great idea. Because sometimes when you're building out something like that, right? Like you have all the context in your head, right? But sometimes you forget to include that context for others, so another person's point of view can really shed some light on it, right? So
absolutely.
great idea. And heck, don't even, be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask your customers what they think about your website, right? Ask them, hey, was it easy to navigate? Did you feel like, I'm trustworthy by what I'm talking about on my website? All that good stuff. And just say, hey, I'm just looking for an honest answer.
Yeah,
There's
quality
no
assurance goes
wrong
a long
answers
way.
here, right?
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Integrator Growth in 30. We're here to help you grow smarter and not louder. But yeah,
Yeah, and if you got something useful out of this episode, follow the show, drop a quick review, or share it with another integrator that's grinding to grow.
yeah. And if you're ready to take next steps, visit us at sewellmarketing.com. That is CWELL marketing.com, or just book a consultation. We'd love to help.
Alrighty, see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.